basically, negated all the haters. So I don't know, like when you're dying, you have nothing to lose. Why would you even say that? It's not a matter of, this was a hoax or this wasn't a hoax. He's saying,
because he's a con man. Con man through and through. Con man till you die, man.
Maybe. But I just find that to be a little bit heartwarming that this guy's still stuck to his story, even on his deathbed. And that makes it, in my mind, that makes it a little bit more valid.
So there are more than one Bigfoot, right?
Yes.
Allegedly.
There has to be. Yes.
It's not just one. They
are
a species, and they are prevalent.
Well, I wouldn't say they're prevalent, but in order for a species to survive, there needs to be mates, there needs to be a food source, there needs to be all of this stuff, and you have to continue to grow the species. So I believe there are enough to at least sustain a species.
So how many would you say that are?
Well, I don't fucking know. I mean, at least two, right? A man and a woman. I mean,
two?
There has to be at least two. I mean, that's how fornication works. I mean, sometimes three if you're lucky, I guess. But there has to be at least two. And I would say that it depends on if you're talking about nationwide or worldwide. They're probably much more prevalent than.
Yeah, that's so worldwide. What is your number?
I don't know. I don't have a fucking number. I mean, it's enough. It's somewhere between two and enough to have people see them, but it's also you stop before they become a population that is actually noticeable.
Okay, so
it's a tricky game, I think.
Have you ever heard of a giant panda?
Yeah, of course. There's one at the DC Zoo.
Okay, they're at the zoo. Do you know that they're endangered species?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many of them live in the wild?
Well, my guess is that probably not a lot of them. Just like there's a couple rhinos that are going extinct that don't live in the wild anymore. You can only see them in captivity.
So they estimate on the giant panda 1,000 to 2,000 in the wild.
In the wild?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like nothing, but people still see them in the wild. So why can't we see one of these besides this shitty film? Or why can't we find a dead one? Because they don't presume, unless you're saying they live forever, they have to die at some point.
Could be.
Their bodies vanish like Buffy the Vampire Slayer vampires, just dust, poof.
Maybe. I'm not, I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Maybe
Could
they
be.
take care of their dead the same way we do.
Well,
You don't see human bodies laying around.
Allison, that's what I was going to say.
They are mature. Here. Come on.
They are a mature species. They are a mature species that understand that. Look, I think the same reason that every claim, besides the Patterson film, every time that you hear a claim from somebody, they're like, "Oh, we saw this for 2 seconds and then it ran off," or this is a smart species of whatever it is, and to be a species that has stayed hidden this long, that has survived whatever turmoil that they've come across, and to survive, quite frankly, all of the massive amount of human population growth that has happened whenever they've been around, you have to be a smart species. And I think
you'd have to be the smartest species on the planet. They should be our superior species.
Who's to say they aren't?
They should be.
Well, maybe they don't want to be, and maybe they don't have the numbers to support that.
Why? Because their gestation period is really long or something?
But no, you can listen. There are we can all, and this is not. I mean, I'm gonna softball this question up for you, but there are indigenous, communities or groups still in the Amazon that have not been discovered. Correct? I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah. There's lots of stuff in the Amazon. I think that is undiscovered. Yeah.
So
you're saying Sasquatch live only in the Amazon?
No, I'm saying that you don't see those people lie. Those people venture out and have to go get food, and you don't see those people
that's
die.
Fine. That's fine,
but they live. Those people lying around, and quite frankly, they could be just as a Sasquatch could be just as advanced as an indigenous person.
Okay, that's fine. But those people that you're talking about live only in the Amazon. They don't live all over the world.
Well, we don't know that they live all over the world. There's been sightings all over the world, but that doesn't fucking mean that they actually do live all over the world.
So you're saying the sightings aren't credible? I
wouldn't say all the sightings are credible.
So how do you know one sightings are credible and which ones aren't?
You don't.
Then how do you know they're not all uncredible?
But you can't go immediately to that. You can't go to, I can't prove that they're not credible, so they're not, like, I can't prove that they are credible, so nothing is credible. You can't jump to that conclusion. That's a terrible analytical leap that you shouldn't make. You have to say that I have to see more evidence in order to make a conclusion one way or another. And that's what people are trying to do with all of these different Sasquatch groups and Bigfoot hunting groups and all of this stuff, is they're trying. Look, the story itself, just as you were debating right now, doesn't make sense. But that doesn't mean that it's not real. It just means that we might be dealing with something that we can't figure out yet. We can't negate it just because we can't prove definitively. So we just have to be cautious.
So what you're saying is we're talking about a highly sophisticated and intelligent species that always is with another one of them, because none of them could die by themselves because their bodies can never be found. So they always use a buddy system everywhere they go. And they are like hide and seek champions. And they don't want to use their intelligence to take over the world because they're clearly the smartest creatures in the world.
No, but no, they're not the smartest creatures in the world. Now you're just being facetious, and I can't believe you can't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth.
No, and he doesn't, because he just said in the beginning that he was on the fence and
I
he
know,
was going to
but
be in an asshole.
I just
so
formulated.
I'm getting irritated over here.
Formulated
that you're
my
being so
opinion.
mean about Squatch.
I turned him the wrong way, apparently.
Jesus.
But you don't have to be the smartest species on Earth to understand how to live and what to do during that life and how to sustain your population and all. You don't need to be the smartest. I'm not saying that they could. It's not Planet of the Apes type shit where they're going to take over. They're just smart enough to survive. They have the skills that have been developed over their evolutionary time frame where they understand how to survive. They understand how to take care of each other. They understand what they need to do to keep their population alive. They know that if they revealed themselves and tried, like, let's just, I'll humor you for a minute, and let's say that they were smart enough to attempt a coup of the human race, that they know they're not going to do that because they know that from a sustainability standpoint, they would lose all of their Sasquatch army, right? They wouldn't have anybody to repopulate.
They just know that because they're so smart.
But it's an instinct thing. It's the same way that any other animal survives in this thing.
Okay,
I mean,
so sure, maybe it's possible that they could stay hidden if no one was looking for them. But there are a ton of people that make it their life's mission, and with our current technology, they are actively looking for them. And with that technology, with that amount of effort, you absolutely would be able to find some more physical evidence than we found.
Well, I think there's been physical evidence found, first of all. I mean,
besides a footprint?
Well, yeah, besides footprint. I mean, there's been samples of tissue or hair that have been tested that are not tied to Sasquatch per se, but are linked to some sort of unknown species of something. That's a proven fact. So
what's a proven fact? That they found some hair?
That they found things, DNA that has been tested that doesn't map back to a known sample of any, or a known species of anything that is currently known.
Well, you've already talked about all these other species that are not found in the world, so to me it's not evidence of a Sasquatch.
No, it's not evidence of a Sasquatch, but it does open up your mind to say, okay, well, what the fuck is this then, right? So as you always like to point out, I am an analyst, and my job as an analyst is to take data points and build into a conclusion, right? So a data point is that, we have a sighting, right? So you go and, okay, maybe you find a footprint. Okay, that's another data point that you put together. And, oh, by the way, we found this piece of hair that doesn't map back to anything that we know about. Those are three pieces of evidence that I can take and say, well, I don't know what the fuck this is, but it's definitely suspect. It's definitely curious. And that's why these groups get started. That's why people make this their life mission, is because of those things. All those things by themselves, well, maybe you can explain it away. But when you have all of these different data points, I think the conclusion is a little bit different than, something weird isn't at play here.
This hair that you're talking about finding, all of these why does it have to be a Sasquatch? Why can't it be some other cryptid, a animal that isn't proven to be existing, like a chupacabra or something like that?
It could be. I mean, well, a chupacabra is real, so. But I mean, it could be. That's what I'm saying, though. But if you map those things with, okay, well, 2 other people in the last 15 years have had sightings here, and there's a potential footprint, and we found some hair. Then you start to map it back to, we don't know what this hair is, but given the other data, we can start to make an educated guess as to, this might be a Squatch. That's all that I'm saying. I'm not saying that it could be. You're absolutely correct. That is, if you took the data point by itself and that is an unknown species of hair that we found, you can make any leap to what it could be. But given the rest of, sightings and research and everything else that's been done, you have to start puzzling those pieces together. I mean, don't you agree? I mean that you can't you can't just negate a piece of something that you find that doesn't map back to any known species and just write it off.
I'm not writing it off. I just don't think that it's possible for something to live in areas that that we have. So there's so many areas like in the country, the U.S. This is mainly a U.S. and Asia thing, right?
North America.
On the West Coast, and I think that's where most of the sightings have been, or alleged stuff. So people know that's where they think they know they are. They're looking for them. I just don't see how people could be actively looking for them and not be able to find them if they were truly there.
Well, I don't think that people, I mean, let's not over there's not people like out there, there's probably people out there right now, but I don't think there's a lot of people that make it their life's work to find Squatch. I think there's a lot of people that do it and want to commercialize it and pretend like they do it a lot more. But I don't think there's a lot of people. I mean, Adam, the Washington wilderness. I mean, we talked about it in the last episode. Like how much 100 million acres or something?
A million acres. Yeah.
I mean, the magnitude of size that a million acres is, I mean, you would need an army to sift through that, and 2 people wandering around with an infrared camera, like I see all these Squatch shows do, is not going to find a fucking Sasquatch. So a million, you're talking about a million acres, which is probably a small amount of Washington wilderness, and we're just talking about Washington. So I mean, it's like trying to find these tribes in the Amazon. You can't fucking find them for one reason.
This is
another.
like the same exact thing as episode 6, Oak Island. There's a TV show.
No,
and there's lots of Bigfoot TV shows, and they're looking for the treasure. In this case, Bigfoot. Case of Oak Island, they're looking for physical treasure. And guess what? They have found jack shit. It's exactly the same. You might as well be watching the same show if you're watching the Bigfoot show versus Oak Island.
Okay. Well, I'm not, but I don't understand your argument there. I mean, I'm not basing my thought process off of these shows. Anything, and I think we'll get into some stats later as to how many people believe in Squatch and don't believe in Squatch, but TV is TV. I mean, they're going to make these shows. I think the Oak Island is a little bit different because I feel like they're taking a pretty good approach to it, but the Squatch shows are just there for entertainment, and I mean, I'll be the first person to admit that they're not going to find anything on these shows. And
Why?
Even if they do,
why not?
Because there's 4 people walking through. I mean, again, if we're talking about just Washington alone and the part of Washington that's closed off for poaching Sasquatch, which is 1 million acres, if there's 4 fucking people wandering through the woods for like 2 nights, and I don't think you're going to find Sasquatch.
So you're saying
way.
all of these sightings, alleged sightings, are big groups of people? They're not 1 or 2 people or 4 people?
No, but I don't feel like there's enough sight. I mean, if you think about all the people that are wandering around the wilderness at any given time in the United States, the amount of sightings per person that is hiking or wandering around is very small. Do you want to do some quick stats on the reporting.
Yeah, sure.
Real quick. So we're talking about 2017 here, okay? Not 2018, not 2016, 2017.